When applying for a UK student visa, it is critical to understand that providing evidence for financial capacity is not just a formality but a necessity. Because failure to do so correctly can lead to visa rejection, which can significantly disrupt your academic plans to study here in the UK. It can lead to costly delays. If your UK student visa is rejected for any reason whatsoever, your health surcharge fees will be refunded to you, but the visa application fees will not, because your visa has been processed and the money has been used to process your visa. It's just that you did not get the visa. And it can also create a frustrating experience. So with that said, in this video, I will provide valuable insights into showing proof of funds for your UK student visa application to help you avoid common pitfalls that could lead to your UK student visa rejection. You see, by the end of the video, you will not only feel more informed, but also more confident and prepared to apply for your UK student visa. So first things first, what is the proof of funds for the UK student visa application? Now, the proof of funds is a document that serves as a tangible demonstration of your financial capacity to support yourself and any dependents you might be bringing with you while studying in the UK. Now, the UK Visas and Immigration Department mandates this, especially for international students seeking a student visa. Now, if you're an international student looking to come study in the UK, you must demonstrate adequate funds to support yourself throughout your academic endeavors. Typically, proof of funds for the UK student visa application includes the ability to cover tuition fees and the cost of living, including expenses for food, accommodation, and other necessities. Now, let's talk about who needs to show proof of funds. Contrary to popular opinion, not every international student looking to study here in the UK has to show proof of funds before a university issues them a CAS or when applying for a UK student visa. Now, for those of you who don't know, if you're applying to study here in the UK, some universities would actually request to see your proof of funds before they go ahead to issue you a CAS, even after they've given you admission to come study at their university. So in essence, you might need a proof of funds if you're an international student looking to study here in the UK to secure a CAS, and you would also need a proof of funds to apply for your student visa. Now, let me give you examples of the category of people who do not need to show proof of funds when applying for a UK student visa. Now, those who have lived in the UK for 12 months with permission, that is, those who have lived in the UK on a visa, like on a valid visa, will not need to show proof of funds. Also, those international students who are applying for a visa as a student union sabbatical officer, and those who are applying for a visa to study on a recognized foundation program as a doctor or a dentist in training, would not need to show proof of funds. Now, let's talk about those who will need to show proof of funds when applying for a UK student visa. So basically, most international students residing in their home country, or those who are classified as international students and have been living here in the UK on a visa for less than 12 months and are looking to apply for a UK visa, would need to show proof of funds when they are applying for a student visa. Likewise, those who are living here in the UK without a valid visa and are looking to study in the UK and they need a student visa would actually need to show proof of funds. Now, let's talk about how to calculate proof of funds. So proof of funds is calculated based on factors like tuition, deposit, and where you would be studying. Yes, you had me right. Where you'll be studying in the UK would actually dictate how much you would have to show when you're applying for your UK student visa as your proof of funds. Now, to secure a UK student visa, you must show that you have enough money to cover the first year's tuition fees if you're an undergrad and you're doing a 3 years program, or a master's program that is more than a year. You must show that you have enough money for the first year only. But if you're doing a 1 year program, then you must show that you have the tuition fee for the entire year if your year is 1 year or less. And then a specific amount for living expenses, which will vary depending on where you're studying. As of 2024, you would need £1,334 per month for courses in London for up to 9 months, and £1,023 per month for those who will be studying outside London for up to 9 months. So this will mean that those who would be studying within London will need £12,006 plus their tuition fee for a year. If they've paid anything from their tuition fee, then they will minus that from their tuition fee, and whatever is left, they would add that to £12,600, and that will be how much they will need for their proof of funds. Now, for those who will be studying outside London, they would need £9,207 plus whatever is left of their tuition fee as their proof of funds. So as an international student, when you're looking to study here in the UK, you need to put this into consideration, looking at how much it will cost you to study in a particular city, because some cities here in the UK are more expensive than others. But basically, they only categorize them into two. So if you will be studying in London, you will need a higher cost of living expenses than those who are not going to study in London. Now, let's talk about acceptable types of fund, because not all types of fund are acceptable when it comes to proof of fund. Now, bank statements, student loans, and financial sponsorships are acceptable proof of funds documents. I would elaborate more on this later in the video. Now, a scholarship award letter or monetary guarantee from a government or independent organization could also be acceptable as your proof of fund. Now, let me expand on bank statement. Now, your bank statement must be an official statement from a bank or financial institution. Now, the funds must be in the bank account for at least 28 consecutive days, and the final date of the 28 days period must be within 31 days of the day you are applying for your visa application. So what this means is that you must have your proof of funds in your bank account for 28 consecutive days. And when you print out your bank statements showing that you have this money for 28 consecutive days, it must be within 31 days of when you want to apply for your student visa. So let's say you're applying for your student visa 1st of December, you'd have to print your bank statements sometimes in November, let's say November 15, or you can even print it November 30th or 31 because you're applying 1st of November. Now, you cannot print your bank statements in October, because if you do, it will be more than 31 days before you apply for your student visa. So basically, whatever financial document you want to use must not be more than 31 days old from when you're making your application. I hope I explained this well. If you feel you still don't understand the 28 days rule and the 31 days rule, please leave a comment in the comment section and I'll try to explain better till you understand. So moving on, the bank statement should also include the account holder's name, account number, date of the statement, financial institution name, logo, and the amount available in that account. And it should be the amount you need for your proof of fund. Now, an official bank letter from your bank confirming the availability of funds should also accompany your bank statement. This letter should also include the account holder's name, account number, date, and the amount of money in that account. So basically, just like a cover letter to say, yes, this is the bank where this money is, and we can guarantee that this money belongs to this person and it will be available for when this person wants you to pay for their tuition fee or cost of living. Now, if you're submitting a relative's bank statement that is sponsoring your study, you have to provide evidence of your relationship with that person, and that person has to write a sponsorship letter. So you have to have these two documents. Failure to do so can lead to your visa being rejected, because this requirement just ensures that your financial sponsor is genuine and is willing to sponsor you. It's just to assure the caseworker that will be working on your visa know that, okay, you didn't just submit a random person's bank statement. This is just to show that the person sponsoring you has a relationship with you, whether be it your mom or your dad. This is just to say, okay, my mom is sponsoring my studies. This is a bank statement. This is my birth certificate saying this person is my mom. This is an ID card to identify this person. And this is a letter from this person saying they are willing to pay for my tuition fee and my cost of living while I'm studying in the UK. And if you're using your bank statement, then you don't need this. All you need to do is just print your bank statement, put the cover letter and submit it, because obviously your name, it's on the bank statement and they know your name from all the documents you've submitted and from your application. Now, let me expand on student loans. So if you're using student loan as your proof of fund, the student loan should be from a government or a government-sponsored loan company, or it should be part of an academic or educational loan scheme. The loan document should come with a letter that confirms that the loan has been provided to you, the amount of the loan, and that it will be released to you before you travel to the UK. Now, let me expand on official sponsor. Now, an official sponsor refers to organizations like the Commonwealth or the Sharing Scholarships, that provide financial support for people to come study in the UK. So for official financial sponsorship, you would need a letter from your sponsor confirming the sponsorship details. Official sponsors can even be the UK government. Like the Sharing Scholarship is from the UK government. It can be from your home country's government, or an international company, or a university, or an organization. Now, if you're using this method for your proof of fund, you also have to have a letter stating how long will the sponsorship run for, and how much will be provided to you via the sponsorship, and how the sponsorship is going to pay for your cost of study in the UK. Now, let's talk about how the funds should be held. Now, the first thing is that if you're using a bank statement, it is essential to ensure that the funds are in a financial institution that utilizes electronic record keeping and is regulated by the appropriate regulatory body of the country in which the bank operates for, or the financial institution operates from, so that UKVI can conduct satisfactory verification checks. Now, when you submit your proof of fund, UKVI would actually verify. So the Home Office would actually verify these things. So don't think you can bubble them. So basically, if you're using your bank statement, they will literally contact the bank and make checks with the bank that the proof of funds is original and the funds you say you have it in that account. Now, if you're using student loan, they would actually call the company you say is loaning you that money to confirm all the documents you've submitted. And if you're using official sponsorship, like if it's the Sharing, they would actually contact Sharing to double check and say, oh yeah, are you on the Sharing Scholarship and stuff like that. That is why whatever document from any financial institution you're using as your proof of funds, they should have ways they can be verified electronically, because this is actually on the UK government website. Now, for dependent children and child students, that is minors, the money they'll use for their proof of funds can be held in an account of their parent or their legal guardian. Now, for child students, that's minors still, the fund may also be held by a close relative or a private foster carer who is or would be caring for them when they are in the UK, or who will be coming with them to the UK. So this category is for minors. Nevertheless, whatever financial documents they are showing for their proof of fund, that's whatever financial documents child students or minors or dependent children are showing for their proof of funds, it must also be verifiable via an electronic means. Yes, so UKVI must be able to verify these documents irrespective of where the money is. Now, for funds held in a personal bank or building society account, the funds has to be readily available. So the funds can include current deposit savings or investment accounts. You cannot use crypto or maybe your house document, and then you want to sell your house and pay for your tuition fee and your cost of living. No, you can't use that. The funds must be readily available. It must be liquid cash. Now, let's talk about proof of funds mistake that leads to visa rejection and how to avoid it. The first proof of fund mistake that leads to visa rejection is lack of funds or not having enough funds. Now, to avoid this, ensure you have the money required for 28 consecutive days in your bank account or in the bank account you intend to use for your proof of funds. The consequences for not meeting these requirements can be severe, leading to visa rejection and potential delays in your visa plans. For example, if the amount you need for your proof of fund is 5 million, ensure that the closing balance of the bank account for 28 consecutive days reflects 5 million, not 4.99 million. You can add extra money to the required funds in case of bank charges, deduction, or fluctuation in the exchange rate, because the UK has a high standard of living and your visa will not be approved if you don't have enough savings to sponsor yourself to study here in the UK. Now, put it in mind that the required amount needed for your proof of fund would typically be calculated in British pounds. So ensure that your statements are in the correct currency, or provide an exchange rate conversion if needed. So for exchange rate conversion, you can use www.owanda.com. Now, this is the website UKVI would usually use to do conversion rates for those who are coming to study from abroad to the UK. Now, like I was mentioning the 5 million, I was mentioning it in Naira, not in pounds. So let's say what you need to study in the UK is 5 million Naira. I would suggest to put 6 million naira or 5.5 million naira, because you understand, naira and pounds, I don't understand the relationship nowadays. The fluctuation is crazy. As at today, £1 is about 2,050 naira for £1. So yesterday was like 2,040 naira. So the fluctuation rate is crazy. So you want to put extra money. So when you do the exchange rate, you don't have lack of funds. If the caseworker perceive you have lack of funds, they would actually reject your visa applications. So you don't want this to be your portion. So make sure you add extra money and do the right conversion. Use Owanda, put extra money. Secondly, not following the 30-day rule can be a critical mistake. I mentioned this earlier and I'll still elaborate on it again. Now, before you submit your visa application, it is vital you use a bank statement showing that you have the required of money you need in your bank account for 28 consecutive days. This period is also referred to as the 30-day rule and must be calculated precisely, because it is a rule that you must not take lightly, because it can negatively impact your visa application. Why they call it a 30-day rule is because you actually need to calculate the money for 30 days instead of 28 days. So I'll explain. So let's say you're making your student visa application on the 1st of September. Now, how this works is that you would have to put in your money on July 31. So July 31, you put in your 5 million naira you need to study in the UK. So you start counting from the 1st of August, and then you count to 28. Now, on 28th of August, you will not print your bank statement. You will actually print your bank statement on the 29th of August, so that you have from 1st till 28th. So remember, you put the money there July 31. So 1st of August to 28th, you count. Then 29, you go to the bank and print. When you go to the bank and print on 29, you can then submit your application if you want to apply on 1st of September. I hope this makes sense. Now, moving on, the bank statement you provide must cover these 28 days and be dated at most 31 days before the date you submit your visa application. So basically, this is just to emphasize what I've mentioned earlier in the video, in the sense that your bank statement must not be 31 days old. So after you calculate your 28 days and you print your bank statement, you must not hold that bank statement for 31 days. Because if you hold it for 31 days, you have to print another one. And in that new one you print, your money must have been there for another 28 days. So whenever you print your bank statement, make sure you use it before 31 days. Again, if this explanation is not clear enough, please comment below and I'll try to explain further. Basically, this requirement ensures that the financial evidence you provide is recent and accurately reflects your financial situation at the time of your application. So timeliness is vital in the aspect of your application, because you don't want your bank statement to be too old for usage. Thirdly, suspicious funds like bulk money deposit or sudden significant increase in your account balance can lead to visa rejection. So you want to be mindful of the legitimacy of your financial document. Avoid large deposits which could raise suspicion or potentially lead to visa rejection. It is critical to maintain the integrity of your proof of fund. So basically, what you want to do is to put in your lump sum money first, have all the money you need plus the extra, and then start counting your 28 days. And within that 28 days, don't make bulk payments into the account. You can use the money in that account, but make sure that the balance still remains the money you would need for your proof of funds, but you can keep the money running. In short, it's advisable to keep the money in the account running, be using the money, putting money there. But let's say you need 5 million naira, you don't want to go and put 10 million naira in the middle of your 28 days. Everybody will be wondering where the 10 million naira just come from. How is this working? And again, you don't have documents to support how you're making 10 million naira every month. It just looks suspicious. So you just want to maybe put in like 100k, 10,000, put another 10,000, remove 100k, put 100k, remove 50k, money that is not suspicious. That's what I mean with this point. Fourthly, using old financial documents could lead to visa rejection. I've mentioned this severally in this video now. So basically, to avoid this, ensure that your financial documents are up to date. Basically, submitting documents that are more than 31 days old before the date you submit your visa application could lead to visa rejection. You just want to keep your financial proof current. Don't make it too old. Furthermore, problematic funds, such as those funds earned illegally, could lead to visa rejection. So when it comes to proof of fund, it is essential to ensure that the money has been obtained legally. For example, if the money you're using for your proof of fund was earned in the UK, it should be money that was acquired without violating any UK laws. Likewise, money in joint account can also be classed as problematic fund if your name is not on that account and you say it's your money and you and other people are keeping it and your name is not there, or if the other people who own the account with you have not given you permission to use the fund in that account. It can be classed as problematic funds. So what you want to do is that if you're using a joint account, it is essential that your name, that is you applying for your visa, is listed among other individuals that own the account, and that they have also given you permission to use the money in that account. And that for the time you're using the money in that account, it's only you that will use the money. They will not be using the money, because it will be problematic if 3 of you are using one person's cost of living all at the same time. They'll be wondering, how would this work out? But if it's only one person using it at one particular time for their cost of living, then obviously that will not be problematic, because it's more like maybe all of you contributed to give that person the money, not that you are giving the person the money, but the remaining of you in your home country will still be using the money. No. That means one person. So there will have to be like a written letter to accompany your application if you're using like a joint account. Additionally, unreadily available funds could lead to visa rejection. I've mentioned this earlier. So what you want to do is you want to ensure that your proof of fund is readily available, like is in liquid cash and easily accessed immediately. So things like crypto, pension funds, overdraft, bonds, credit card, and shares are not acceptable. Your money has to be liquid cash. It has to be in a savings account or a current account where you can withdraw the money and use the money. Likewise, errors on the financial documents like name errors, missing transaction on the bank statement, or lack of proper signatures could lead to visa rejection. Lastly, using fake documents could lead to visa denial. For instance, if the letter from an official sponsor does not include all the information that needs to be included, the caseworker might think it's fraudulent and your student visa might be denied. That's why you want to make sure all the information are correct and all the information are present. Also, you want to avoid using fake documents because this can have severe consequences. You just want to avoid using things that will be considered fake documents. So you just want to ensure that you double check that all the details on your financial documents are correct, like all the details are clear. If you are photocopying, you are printing, you are scanning, make sure that all the documents are crystal clear. Don't do mistake and scan and 10 now misplaced, or some things were not showing. No, you want to avoid all of that because it can be classed as you're trying to use fake documents. So you want to be mindful of all of these things. Now, NEPO is out there. Using fraudulent documents when applying for a UK student visa is a severe offense, or when you're applying for any visa at all, any UK visa is a severe offense. You see, using false documents will result to your visa application being rejected, possible arrest, and a 10 years ban from reapplying for any UK visa, which could have severe implications on your future travels or immigration plans.